Hey, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. We are back for another titillating episode here on the AM Affirmation Space podcast. Thank you, Miss Sylvia. Who is Miss Sylvia? I don't know who that person is. Miss Clivia and Miss Marcy for being here with us. We have some good stuff to get back to. This is part two of our wellness series. So I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time with our openings other than to say make sure you follow each of us, Miss Clivia at hashtag her chosen story. We all have so much going on, as well as Miss Marcy with Miss Marcy Moments. And then of course myself, the affirmation whisperer, and everything that we have going on. Follow us on socials. You'll be able to find us and see what it is that we have going on and tap into the beautifulness that we got to share with the world. So, with that being said, I am going to turn this back over to Miss Marcy so she can continue with part two of our wellness series. Miss Marcy?
Yes. So the last episode, we went through the first five dimensions of wellness. And like I said in the first episode, all 10 of them: physical, emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual, occupational, environmental, financial, cultural, and digital. So today, we're going to go through the next five. So we did internal, now we're doing the external. Occupational wellness, those jobs. Who Jesus. Focusing on finding satisfaction and in the work, balance in your work, rather fu- it's finding a fulfilling career or balancing work with other aspects of life. Baby, occupational wellness.
Hmm.
Listen, let me just jump right in because this is huge.
Yes.
So when you said that, the first thing that came to mind was work-life balance. And I remember someone saying work-life balance doesn't exist at work. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute, what are you talking about? So at this current employer I'm with right now, they have like so many days that you can take off, and they're all supposedly unlimited, but kind of limited. I'm thinking, unlimited PTO, but limited PTO. Okay. So you know what I did? I put in my PTO for the year. I put in my PTO for the year because I'm thinking this thing. I was one of those people that worked on holidays because I didn't have any plans. So I would work, although technically the office was closed, right? But in this new phase, this new era, this new chapter I'm in order for me to be holistically well, my work life balance needs to look a lot different.
Mhm.
I need to take my days off and let them be true days off where I am taking care of me. Because just as it says right here, focusing on finding satisfaction and balance in your work, whether it's finding fulfilling career or balancing work with other aspects of your life. Yes, please, and thank you.
Mhm.
Balance my life so that I'm not sitting at this desk with that computer on for work 18 hours in a day. No, we're not doing that. But you know what also speaks to, though, ladies? Managing our time well.
Yeah.
Managing our time well, because some of us may be guilty that the reason why we're sitting in front of our work computer for 18 hours is because at the first 6 hours we didn't do anything, or we were doing something else, or in the middle of the day we took too long to go do this, then the third. So we feel like we need to spend those extra hours on the computer
Mhm.
because we're not managing our time well. And I know there were times, not often, but there were times I was guilty of that. So I'm spending this extra time, right? 14 coffee breaks. Exactly. Exactly. So
You
work life
climbed the walls at that point.
work life balance, it can be, and you have to establish it for yourself. Because although the employer may champion that, I'll say, you have to create it for yourself, because they're not going to put the PTO in for you. They're not going to remind you not to work when you're on PTO. You have to create that for yourself. You have to put some boundaries together, make sure you are managing your time well so that you can have that work life balance. Now, I don't know about that whole percentage here and percentage there. For me, work life balance is more about knowing when it's time to clock out and when it's time to stop working with my business and spend some time with just me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it may be 10 hours. Sometimes it may just be 2 hours. Sometimes it may be no hours. But am I feeling good about what I'm doing? Am I feeling holistically well because I'm not spending so much time on one thing? So that was my spill on that, Miss Marcy.
Okay. Clivia.
Yeah, for me, my last job, I felt fulfilled, where although being the only Black person in the room, there was a sense of, I want you guys to be okay being here. The opportunity to pray with my coworkers was a thing for me. We had a beautiful outside deck where we, if we didn't want to stay at our desk, we can go outside, we can go downstairs. There were so many options. We had a beautiful coffee bar. So even at 14 cups of coffee, I only had one, but just to have the option. And I remember going on my second interview before they officially hired me. And when they gave me the tour, my coworker, who's now my friend, she was like, "The fact that they brought you upstairs, I already knew you were in." And I said, "The fact that this place is so beautiful, I hope that I'm in, you know?" And just the ambience of the place. So they made you want to come to work. I never had a day that I was stressed going into work. I was okay with leaving on time. And if I had to stay, even if it was 5 minutes later, I was okay with that. I've worked where I didn't want to get up, working remote for this doing telehealth for like 7, 8 different hospitals. That was stressful for me. It was also very lonely for me because I wasn't used to not interacting with people, not seeing people to say good morning. Up to this day, I still don't know how my manager looked, So even having that balance of being healthy, I felt unhealthy working remotely at that job, but then transition into a place where there were like-minded people, where being in the presence of just in the building itself made me feel good, right? And for that, I was able to play the part. Like I said, I had my lock, so I wanted to dress up. I wanted to look like myself. And although they not side-eyed me, but they looked at me, and I know it was probably questions like, how did she get her hair like that? Why did she wear those colors, because they just weren't used to this girl from Brooklyn showing up. But for me, that was healthy, right? And even that job, I was able to come home and work my business and
Yeah.
do the things that I love and spend time with the children. That was a beautiful, not even balance, but integration of what I
Right.
think an occupation should look like, especially if you're spending most of your time there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beaut. Now that was definitely a beautiful thing. That was the ultimate work life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my story is more of a horror story.
Mm.
My yeah, it was horrible. I'm not gonna say what agency because I'm here in DC. I won't say what agency it was, but it was horrible.
Mm.
And now the thing about it was my emotional well-being was off, my spiritual well-being was off, my intellectual well-being was off, and it stemmed from my occupational wellness was off. So once that was off, everything was just absolutely a hot mess.
Mm.
um and when I left that agency and went to where I'm at now, so many the heal I started to heal. I saw myself healing. Now, even at this particular place, it's only one person that is very, they make the atmosphere kind of, mm, but
Mhm.
that's the only thing. Like, but I love the job. I love what I
Yeah.
do. I love my interaction with the people. Um, yeah. So occupational help, when your money is when people messing with you at your job and your money is funny, that throws everything off
Yeah.
because if I can't provide, then
Mm-hmm.
I am I'm in a state of scarcity. And when you're in a state of scarcity, you can't have
Yeah.
intellectual wellness, physical or emotional wellness. And you see,
Mhm.
like, how when one thing is off, it
Yeah.
throws everything
Yes.
else off. But
Mm-hmm.
when we have these things in alignment,
Yeah.
that's when we can be our authentic self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and we're going to move on from occupational
Wait, can I
wellness.
add one more piece to that really quick,
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Martin?
Yes, ma'am.
So, when you were mentioning about when your work situation is it doesn't feel good anymore, it's time to do some introspection. When you start not to feel, or if you never felt good at your job, or you begin to not feel good at your job, it's time for introspection. It
Definitely.
really is time. When you are stressed all the time and in a role or on a job, or even when you're doing your own business contracting with somebody, if you're stressed all the time, it's time to do some introspection, because there is no reason for you to be feeling like you can't hardly breathe on a
Yeah.
job. And I know what that feels like. I was there,
Yes.
worried about every email that came through, wondering, well, what did I do wrong this time? All it's
Hmm.
that kind of, I don't want to ever feel like that again. And I will not. I will not. And I've shared with you guys before, I knew before the last day of my job with the previous employer, I knew I should have been gone long before then.
Hmm.
But letting other things influence me, in that time, I was about to say I regret it, but I don't regret it, because now I can help somebody else not make the same mistake. But when I tell you my health declined rapidly, being under all that kind of stress, it was
Mm,
insane. Even though I was still going to the gym, although I'm still doing, my eating the way I was eating, internally, I was in turmoil.
Yeah.
Internally, intellectually, spiritually, I was in turmoil, and it just threw everything off. So if you are in a place where you can't be at peace, I implore you, do some introspection, pray
I
about that
agree.
thing, get out, or change some things so you can be at peace at work, because no, we ain't doing that no more. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I was
no
gonna
more.
say, it's just like a relationship. If you're in a relationship and
Yep.
there's no growth, if you're doing business, I was on a platform this week and it says if it's not working, do some introspect, do some what is not working and why, right? And let's
Mhm.
try to change it. So just like a job. For me, working remote, I knew at one point after 2 years, I'm like, all right, Clivia, it's time to update your resume and move on. And the day I updated my resume on Indeed, I got the call for that job. So it was really, sometimes we're so content, quote
Right.
unquote content, or so
Mhm.
comfortable. But sometimes God is like, you're praying for a new job, you're praying for this. I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on you to make the room because the
Facts.
door's already open. You just got to
Facts.
step in. But we're so
Mhm.
comfortable in being not comfortable because we think, okay, the money.
Yep.
But peace for me, peace over everything.
Yes. Ooh, that's a whole show in itself. So our next one is environmental wellness. So recognize the importance of your surroundings,
Hmm.
including your home, work environment, and the in the nature world, natural world,
Sure.
and encourage making choices that are environmentally sustainable. Um, yeah, the environment, your
Yeah.
surroundings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, relocating, I mean, that was a big deal. Going from tall buildings to trees. I mean, that was a big change. And for that reason, my sister would not move here. She was like, it's too much trees. But for me, there's, again, I love the word peace because there's such a peaceful feeling, even to just sit
Yeah.
on my patio and just look outside. So
Yeah.
many lakes, the ducks, the beautiful birds that, I mean, seeing pigeons for 35 years compared to what I see red robins just sitting on the side. Like for me, that's everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely think even changing the scenery of where you're so comfortable, like, yeah, it makes me feel well. So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
Environmentally, so I think about my surroundings within the walls and outside the walls. You
Right.
talk about relocating. I tell people all the time the reason why I relocated to where I am now is because I wanted to see the seasons change.
Mm.
I wanted to see the seasons change. I want to see,
Right.
like right now, those trees that were bare a few months ago, they are completely filled back in. And I don't know when it
Yeah.
happened, but it happened. Those trees are completely filled back in. The pollen has started to
Simmer.
disseminate. You
Yeah.
know, it's starting to disseminate here in this area. And
Really?
before I know it, we'll be in full blown summer, right?
Mhm.
But my favorite time of the year is coming right around the corner. So
Oh.
I
Calm
love
down. Let us
it.
have some summer first. Okay.
Anyhow, so externally relocating to where I am was everything to me because I love seeing the seasons change. When I'm going down the street during the fall and I can see all these beautiful colors, the
Colors.
fall
Yeah.
colors on the leaves and such like that, which speaks to another topic we need to get into, that sometimes something has to die to come back to life. Oh, don't forget that
Amen.
title, y'all. Don't forget that title. But environment, even in my house, I've been looking at my house. I'm like, man, I need to change some things because they've been the same way for months. Where my furniture is, how I have everything set up, I need to do some changes. I need to put some different colors up, because just changing your surroundings can help to establish that holistic wellness that you desire. Because looking at the same thing in the same place, you'll forget it's even there because it's been in the same place for so long. You go to look for it and forget that it's right there, but you passed by it so many times, you forgot that it's there, right? So changing where we have things set up, putting some new colors up, getting outside and touching the dirt, letting our feet get to the ground, letting our feet touch the ground. I'm
Mm.
like, listen, that's another topic for another another show. But environmentally, well, you are exposing yourself to the elements. Go let some rain touch your face.
Hmm.
Go stand in the rain and let the rain, right, Miss Marcy?
Rain bath.
You speaking of that, I know one day it was a Friday night, and we had class, and it just the rain just poured down, and we ran outside and we danced in the rain.
Yes, yes,
We
that's what I'm
allowed
talking
the
about.
ocean to come and cleanse us, and we danced in the rain, barefoot, dancing
I bet
in
that was
the
beautiful.
rain.
I
It
bet
was
that
so
was
beautiful.
beautiful.
It was. It was cleansing and healing. So yeah.
Mhm, mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. I have this desire to dance in the rain. Of course, void of lightning and thunder, but just rain. I have this desire to just dance in the rain, not being worried about my hair or the clothing, but just be out in the rain and just dance in the rain. And I'm going to bring that to fruition because
Yeah.
it's so free. And here I am, and not necessarily on my balcony. Go downstairs where the grass and the dirt is, and get my feet dirty while it's raining and dancing. Yes, they're gonna think I'm crazy, but y'all can think what y'all want to. I'm old enough to do what I want to,
Facts.
when I want to, how I want to. Yes, I said
Right.
it.
And what you say, the word is the freedom
Yes.
that you will receive. And
Hmm.
then, honestly, spirit in that moment, spirit can speak to you, and
Yes.
you can listen because things
Hmm.
are being cleansed off. Ooh, that's how that write it down. That's a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother subject.
You talk about that out the full moon. I think we still have a full moon, but
It
I
was
I realized we had one Friday night. I
pink
want to
moon.
pink moon, yes.
Yeah.
And going outside, I do this regularly. When there's a full moon, I'll go outside and just stand in the energy of that.
Mhm.
Sometimes the moon is so close to the earth that it looks like I could just reach out and touch it off my
Touch it.
balcony because it's so
Yes.
big, right? But
Yes.
just standing in the energy of that is so healing. It's so connecting to the earth and the elements and all that God has created. Because we live in such silos sometimes. We're so focused on me, 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 me. What I need, Lord, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that, and not taking
Mhm.
a moment to be grateful for what we already have.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a moon that's so big that it looks like you can reach out and touch it, but it's thousands of miles away? That
Yeah.
is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
So just getting exposure to the elements, going out and touching some leaves. Yes, be a tree hugger for just a minute.
Right.
It ain't gonna kill you.
I know I was telling y'all about the tree when we was offline because the wind here is
Yeah.
so this tree is one day I was just depressed and the tree started talking to me and
Mm,
that is my tree and I hug Edward. I give Edward offerings and what have you. So once again, that's a whole nother topic. So we're gonna move on. Financial wellness when you're messing with my money involves managing your money responsibly, including budgeting, saving, and investing. Oh, that's always now. I'm gonna tell you, out of the 10 dimensions of wellness, this one is my weakest one, and I'm gonna be
Likewise.
transparent.
Yeah,
I'm
likewise.
okay with it. This one
Likewise.
is my weakest one. When God sends me the millions that I've been praying for, then I'll be solid on all 10 dimensions. But financial, because I can save some more money. I
yeah.
can stop buying some shoes.
Yeah.
Um, my FedEx person doesn't need to come and know me. Like, just, hey, Marcy, I left your package in the living room because why not let him have a key? He's always so late.
Not the FedEx man with the key to the house.
Call your package there. Okay, babe. Thanks.
That's so funny. My friend married the UPS guy.
Yeah, look, I just want him to deliver my packages. No special packages. What I ordered.
Listen, so I don't think there's anyone who can say that there's not an area of finance in their life that they can't tighten up on. I don't think anyone can say that, and I beg to differ with them because there's always some room for some extra investment or
Mhm.
not buying that extra this. Or I was having a conversation with a friend earlier this week. It is just Tuesday, so yesterday, and he has this phrase he calls BHAG, and you guys may have heard of it from corporate. It's the big, hairy, audacious goals. He puts it into the financial thing. He says, what are you willing to do and not do to achieve your financial goals? So so I thought about that. I'm like, yeah, it really does mean making that sacrifice of what you will or will not do in order to reach your financial goals. Ms. Marcy said about taking the key from the FedEx man so so that she don't get those packages anymore, or buying one less cup of coffee and taking that money and putting it into a fund, or taking my money from my part-time job and letting that be my investment money so I can stay with my full-time job and use that money for X, Y, and Z. What are you willing to do and not do in order for you to achieve your financial goals? And I think if we tap into that more often, and some of us are at a point where I don't have any extra. We'll put a plan together so when that extra arrives, you don't have to then get ready for it. You're already ready for that extra that's coming. It's on its way. That
Yeah.
extra that's on its way, you already got a plan together to use that money to put into some investment, to put it into savings, or to like someone was saying about their home. If you had to sell your home today, is your home ready to be sold?
Right.
Mm,
Is it ready to be sold? If you
mm-mm.
had to sell it today. So they're having that mindset of those things that we are willing to do and not do in order to reach our financial goals. I have so much room for improvement. Oh, I have so much room for improvement. And I own that. And because I own that now, and before now, I make steps to improve myself and my financial wellness. So that's my share.
Yeah, I definitely want to, again, be transparent. I know we all said likewise. It's my weak link, right? And I remember being the lender, not the borrower. I remember having a savings. At that time, I didn't know much about investing, but I think because of the lack of knowing certain things, money wasn't properly handled. So now, being in spaces, let's say like this, or having Dakota come in and do classes, and having, just people that we know kind of understand the system. There was a book read last year, Cash Flow Quadrants, the author
Mm-hmm.
of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like
Mm-hmm.
those categories. And you have employee, have to have a job, self-employed, you own a job, then you have the B type, business owner, you own a system that works for you, and then there's the investor. Like, what category do you see yourself in, or where can you shift that would help us to be financially well, right? So I think also, going back to one of the wellness of intellectual, like learning these things, because we weren't taught these things, right? Yes, we had certain subjects in school, but we didn't learn financial literacy.
Right.
So now
Right.
at our age, we have to figure it out, so that one day
Yeah.
when we get the millions, we'll know how to handle it, that we won't
Yeah.
waste. We will understand, okay, this is an investment that I know is going to grow, that my children's children will be able to benefit from this. So it takes learning. And again, we do have a lot to learn. And I think
Yeah.
once we understand a system, then we'll be all right. We'll be
I
well.
heard this statement yesterday and I wrote it down right here in front of me. I got all kind of notes around me, but this one here, grow your wealth by purchasing appreciating assets, not
Mm.
depreciating
Appreciating
assets.
Oh,
assets. Mm,
Appreciating assets. Grow your wealth by purchasing appreciating assets. And that kind of got my attention because you guys may have grown up the same way. Purchasing that fine car, that was an accomplishment,
mm-hmm.
but that's a depreciating asset. As soon
And
as
as soon
you
as
roll
you
it
drive,
off,
yeah,
as soon as
the
you roll it
lot.
off, it depreciates. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, so I listen. I'm grateful for my car. I'm not looking to buy a new car. My car is just fine. It looks brand new. I am good. So where else can I put that money into some appreciating
Mm-hmm.
assets so that my wealth can grow as opposed to depreciating? Because all when having all these credit cards, that's depreciating. Where as opposed to just having that nice gold or platinum Amex and maybe another card, it's all depreciating or appreciating steps that you're taking to either
Yeah.
decrease or increase your wealth. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Love that.
yes. So the last two, cultural wellness, acknowledges the importance of cultural identity, values, and traditions. And
Mm-hmm.
the last one is digital wellness.
Hmm.
Sometimes includes um, re- excuse me,
Referring.
reference to managing your time online, engaging in technology in a way that supports your well-being and minimize the negative impact of digital devices. Culturally, we're in a cultural divide. So that's just, I think right now, as women and women of color, to be more educated on our ancestors that did great things, but no one wants to talk about it. And now they're trying to erase us as Black women. We need to be even more diligent with our history of our ancestors.
Yeah.
Uh, that's just me. Of,
Yeah.
of our male and women, but especially our women, because the way they try to minimize how we are. First of all, we're the mothers of the earth. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So learning that and building on that and putting your confidence and putting that confidence and remembering that you are the mother of the earth. And when you have that, when you can walk in that confidence, you can do so many other things.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True. I first say in order for you to have cultural wellness, you need to know your culture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know your culture.
Yeah.
So knowing your culture, you can define how you operate within it and what it looks like for you so that you can stand in it. That's what I'll say
Mm-hmm.
about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I think about me being, not a born American, but learning this culture, right? Where my parents still have some of our back home culture still to speak, but to know our values as a people, to know, okay, where did I come from? Like Marcy, you said, knowing the history of our ancestors so that
Mhm.
that story can live on, right? So even me learning my Trinidadian history, the real American African history, and just combining that, and that makes me who I am, right? Maybe it's my persona, maybe it's the way I respond to certain things. So I think that also helps, knowing who you are and whose you are, where you
Yeah,
came from,
yeah.
and being appreciative of that when
Hmm.
no one can take that from you. Yeah.
Yes. And last but not least, digital wellness. Like I said,
Mm.
sometimes included refers to managing your time online. Get off of TikTok. Engaging in technology in a way that supports your well-being and minimize the negative impact of digital devices. And with it, like listening to our podcast, okay, listening to positive podcasts, that is supporting your well-being and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
minimizing negative impact. Because here, what do? We speak nice words. We give you the information to improve on your life, or
yeah,
step back and say, you know what, they made a lot of sense. I can adjust um to some things and try it out for some time and see how it works.
yeah,
And we're not gonna tell you wrong. It's coming out for your betterment.
yep,
So,
exactly.
and like I said, get off TikTok. Because
Yeah,
TikTok,
I want to share. I remember even when I was studying my master's, doing papers every day, having to submit twice a week. My hands, I ended up with carpal tunnel because of having to be on this laptop consistently. My hand, the direction wasn't proper with my desk, my seat, and all these things. So sometimes, although it's a good tool, it can also affect us where now we have to wear hand brace and all these things. Even our finger, I tell my children, like my son being on his device, I'm like, you're going to end up with arthritis, God forbid, at an early age. My daughter's neck, because she's on the phone, I'm like, hold your head up. You don't want to have like a hunchback and a so sometimes, yes, stay off of these things because you're not going to be well when it's time to be well.
When you're investing an ornate amount of time in any activity, that's an imbalance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's an imbalance. So
Yeah.
if you're on TikTok, and I know the iPhone does it, and I'm sure in some form or another, Android does it as well. It tells you your time you invested
Yeah.
on your device. Pay
Yeah.
attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to that. So when you're investing 12 hours, what? When are
that's
you
a
getting
lot.
work done?
Right.
When are you eating well? When are you getting outside to get some fresh air? So it could include you listening to some podcast like this one,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
listening to music, etc. But anything that you're doing in excess, it's time to check in with that, including
Definitely.
our digital life. If
Yeah.
we are online too long, if we're not shutting these computers down, I was having a conversation with someone today that I just didn't want to stop working on a project that I was working on. Okay, and that happens occasionally, but let's not let that be the norm, because when
Yeah.
it's the norm, then we're out of balance. So
Mm.
even when it comes to our digital wellness, anything that you're spending an ornate amount of time on, it's time to check in, realign yourself, and adjust as you need to.
Yeah. That's good.
and with did you go, Clivia? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Did you?
did. I did.
Okay, I'm sorry. And with that, we're gonna have our affirmations.
Yay! Every positive choice I make supports my external wellness, radiating health, vitality, and harmony into the world around me.
Nice.
My mind is my sanctuary. I protect it with boundaries, empowered it with truth, and feed it with positive thoughts.
Ashe.
Each day, I choose to embrace healthy habits that promote my physical, mental, and spiritual well being.
Yes.
In our scripture, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit, honey, dries up the bones. Ooh,
Woo! That's
that's
good.
deep.
Ain't that like dry bones?
That is deep.
And we thank you for joining us on this two-part
Yes.
series. So it's a four-part series, but it's two parts today, um, two parts for this particular subject. And we can't wait to the next set of series of our mental health. So until next time.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Peace and blessings to you all.
You are your first priority. So
So
act
Oh,
like
that too.
it.
Bye, y'all. Peace and blessings.